Namaste, one and all, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. You guys probably thought you guys lost me, or probably did not even matter. But just like the sun is shining, the weather is blue. Your boy is back, and this one is back to kind of send farewell to the NFL season. That was, we started off the season with pre-takes, regular season with quick takes, postseason with quick takes, and then now post takes to send the last season away, as combines pretty much here, as well as the draft coming up right in between. Speaking of the draft, speaking of the Super Bowl, 158, 111, and 1 to finish out regular season with the Super Bowl going in our favor. We went 7-6 in the playoffs to stay on the positive side. Now we move on. Just to look back at every team, really, in a sense. Let's start off with the unfortunately losing side in the Super Bowl. It is the New England Patriots and the AFC. So for the Patriots, they have a very bright future. Vrabel first year just solidified that the Patriots of old, at least foundationally, are back. They are always going to be competitive in the division, with the Dolphins having question marks, kind of covering them there as well. With first year head coach and Jeff Atley, it's going to take a second to implement his ideas. If we gotta to see some sort of success in Miami. It has been a minute since a head coach has done something. We expected something out of Mike McDaniel. Unfortunately, his reign there did not go as all sides would have hoped for. Though it was explosive offensively. Tyreek Hill had his best seasons under him. Tua had his best seasons under him. Defensively, some parts didn't work out, and some other aspects as well. But yeah, it's going to take a second for them. Same thing probably with the Jets as well. They might go after Ty Simpson or a veteran quarterback, but it's going to take probably another year of adding talent. They are in a loaded AFC DeVry of talent so far, so they're going to have to add talent. But also, I think the duo of Garrett Wilson and I, not Isaiah Bond, the wide receiver that they got out of the Colts in the Sauce Gardner trade. I forget your name. I apologize, but I think those two guys are going to be, a solid duo going forward, depending on how they build with the next quarterback of the New York Jets. But going back to the quarterback, the two heads of the divisions are always going to be Josh Allen and the Bills, with a new head coach, a new approach, but still the same team almost. So it's going to be interesting to see how they perform going forward as well. But Patriots won the division. Patriots won the conference. Probably starts off with them back again. They had a lot of one-year guys, so seeing how that gets through this year, how many guys get re-signed, who moves on, what happens with those guys moving on. Now that they're not, the unknown guys, and they are actually guys who are respected, the Super Bowl appearance makers, teams are going to play them differently. All that, how's that going to factor for them next season? And then I trust Will Campbell to play left tackle, but there's going to be question marks until probably like year 8, and he silences them, or until they win a Super Bowl. So that's that. And there, let's move on to the AFC North. I think the most dramatic division. 3 head coaches fired, 3 brand new approaches. Now it's a brand new day in Baltimore, brand new Pittsburgh, but with I guess brand new Steelers with a throwback Pittsburgh, and then Cleveland with a brand new head coach as well, Todd Monken coming in from the division. So there are a lot of question marks to be had for all the teams. Ravens need talent as well. Steelers, what is their quarterback situation looking like? For the Browns, yeah, I don't even know. I think they had a generational draft. If you really added up last year, you got a linebacker one, a D tackle one, um, possibly a quarterback one, running back one, running back two, and various other pieces. Yes, O line is still a problem, but if you have a good O line coach that Todd Monken brings in, you might have something to work with. But yeah, going back to it, still quarterback, is it Shadur? Is it Deshaun Watson? Are they going to bring somebody else in? What is that looking like? And then the only coach that did not get fired in the division, because possibly the owners are allegedly too cheap to fire coach. So Zach Taylor stays another round. But what is their future looking like? T. Higgins, is he going to be moved so they could have pieces around? Are they still going to go with the double wide receiver approach? Gesicki's still there, so they have other pieces around Yosivas and some other guys. How are they going to, like, I feel like Yosivas could go play a role somewhere else as a wide receiver two, wide receiver three, depending on the right situation. But that's the thing. Are you going to find that right situation outside of Cincinnati? Um, and yeah, that's where we are with them. Let's go to the AFC South, the division with two of the very young quarterbacks. One you could say kind of ascended, one you could say kind of descended, but they are, like literally just um, momentum really away from making a run. Jaguars, they were so close. 3-point loss at home in the playoffs to the Buffalo Bills, who unfortunately ended up losing to the Broncos as well. So, you know, but they showed what they can do. They showed Jacksonville's a spot. They beat the Chiefs last year. They have some things that they can build on from last year, getting Travis Hunter back and healthy, most likely playing one side of the ball, probably being on the offense is going to help them out. Uh, they should add some pieces defensively, but even there, um, it's going to be tough for them to lose one of, if not both, of Devin Lloyd and Travis Etienne. But that's where they might be, because everywhere across the board they look pretty set. They're just gonna year two build on what they had year one, kind of like the Patriots, and see what they can get to in year two, and that's where we are with them. Moving on to not year two, but in a few years of CJ Stroud. Everybody thinks he is ready to be taken out of Houston. If they want to get rid of him, I would gladly take him in Las Vegas, not for the first overall pick, but I would, without a skip a heartbeat. He had pretty much no O line last year. Respectfully to all those guys, once you lose Laramie Tunsil and some other pieces as veterans, you don't really add anything. What can you really expect out of him? You kind of saw that with um, New England in the Super Bowl. Once the pass rush gets home, it gets home. Does not matter what the other quarterback wants to do. No matter how great the quarterback is, we have seen even Patrick Mahomes go down to the pass rush of Tampa Bay, of Philadelphia. So no matter how well your offense or quarterback is, yeah, unless your offensive line can hold up, it does not matter. And that's where we are with them. They need to, replenish that offensive line. That's pretty simple. Tank Dell coming back from injury. How's that going to look like? They are likely to lose Christian Kirk. How are they going to supplement the pieces around Nico Collins? They do have two other wide receivers that they drafted out of Iowa State. Maybe those guys do take steps forward. Tight end situation, what does that look like? Does Schultz stay? Is he a cap casualty? And then defensively, you have guys that you're going to have to start paying across the board. Who are the guys that you're going to pay? Who are the guys you're going to keep? Who are the guys you are willing to let go of? Not because they're not good, because you can't pay all and you can't keep all. So that's where we are with them. And then Indianapolis Colts, they kind of got hit with the injury bug and kind of just went out of the way. They have a lot of free agents this year. I mean, those guys that could be key. Yeah, I mean they have question marks for them as well. Daniel Jones probably being their biggest free agent. He is going to likely sign back, but what does his deal look like, especially after the injury? Jonathan Taylor, he's likely to get re-signed as well. So what does his new contract look like? With Javonte Williams just getting new money as well, he's probably going to wait it out, see what other running backs maybe get, and then he is going to want that top tier running back, obviously. But what does that final money look like to make the cap, work around the team. And then we'll see what happens with the guys like Alec Pierce and everybody else as well. That leaves us with the Tennessee Titans, a brand new stadium coming. Robert Saleh taking in the reins with Cam Ward. Brian Daboll as offensive coordinator, but who are the weapons that are going to play with him? That's pretty much it. I think they have a decent offensive line. They're going to have to replace Kevin Zeitler. Like I mentioned, a good offensive line coach, a veteran offensive line coach for a young unit would probably go a long way. Outside of that, yeah, even if Calvin Ridley returns from injury, that's not really something you could trust. A Lemonor, or can you trust him? I guess, but is he your number one? Maybe he could build himself into that, but maybe just not yet. And then a Kuonku or somebody else across the board. You still don't have somebody that you could really rely on as Cam Ward, so you're gonna have to supplement him with that, and then some other weapons as well. Defensively, add some more pieces. Snead is likely to be gone, so you're gonna have to get some corners, and it's a loaded AFC. It's a AFC South that's probably going to be pretty brutal. Um, and yeah, they could take over, as the division that the AFC North was, with all the changes that was there. And then yeah, we'll see what happens. Now let's get to the AFC West. Firstly, let's go with the Chiefs. I think their future kind of relies on Travis Kelsey's future. I mean, I think he probably plays another year. I say that he should not. I think his level is dropping too high. It's like what you see him last as is going to be the last image of him, and I don't want to, even as a divisional rival, I don't want to see him as less as what he is. Like Gronk going out with a Super Bowl perfect way. Unfortunately for Travis, that did not happen. Patrick Mahomes being injured too, like early in the season, how does that look like? That's probably going to go, into the la- uh, back end of the season. I think their secondary still needs work and needs talent as well. I think that has safety has been their biggest issue in a sense, because they went from Eric Berry to Honey Badger to Jordan Reed. All three were Pro Bowl. And then they went to guys like Jamari Connor and everybody who are solid, but they're not that caliber, not all pro level. So there's that little drop off. And then Trent McDuffie, he is best used as a slot corner. Outside, he is going to struggle. Maybe they get L'Jarius Sneed back. They run it back with Tyreek Hill as well. So we'll see what happens there. Broncos probably, we'll see what the Cortland Sutton future holds. But outside of that, Bo Nix needs some more weapons. Offensive line solid. Defense is pretty much solid. Losing the like of John Franklin Myers is going to be key, and a move that's going to be slept on. But whoever picks him up is going to, elevate their defensive line instantly. Not the biggest name, not a big household, but definitely impactful. And then we move on to the Chargers. I think they're pretty much dependent on health. Getting a new offensive coordinator in Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel. Why am I struggling with his name? But he is going to bring a new approach. He's going to make it fun with Harbaugh's kind of strictness. So they might have that perfect balance for that offense. But what does the future hold for Keenan Allen? Some other guys that might need to get paid. Khalil Mack, is he coming back? Odafe always a free agent as well. So pass rush, what does that look like going forward? And the corners as well. Their secondary, like I mentioned last season, I am not hating, but they have solid dudes, but not a standout cornerback one. Talk about cornerback one. Let's talk about my Raiders. We don't have a cornerback one in a sense. We have a cornerback 1B in Stokesy, which I hope we resign. But with the number one pick, we take Fernando Mendoza. But what does that look like for the rest of the squad? And obviously, I believe he will stay. But the Max Crosby dilemma until, probably trade deadline, it's gonna linger all the way through, or at least until like Raiders start out like 3-1 or 4-1, where then they're like, oh my god, what are the Raiders gonna add to possibly go on a playoff run? That's hopefully the future. So I'm gonna let it rest on that and not linger on the Max Crosby situation too much. So let's move on to the NFC. Let's start off with the Super Bowl team. Let's start off with the Seattle Seahawks. I think they are not going to run it back, respectfully. I think they are going to be competitive, but the parity in the NFL is very, very, very high right now, and they kind of got lucky with the quarterback injuries this past season. I am not saying they could not have won it even with those injuries, but Bo Nix got hurt. Um, like there are kind of other injuries that that kind of played a factor, but I am not trying to discredit them. Like, well, Joe Burrow, not really. Patrick Mahomes, yeah, but you guys get the point. I'm not trying to discredit the champions, but they did kind of get lucky on their run as well, and you need that. Not every Super Bowl champion has just made it out of because they were the brute force or whatever. Luck plays a factor in every sport, and they got lucky just a little bit. Sam Darnold played out of his mind. That's not just luck, but there are other NFC teams that are gonna get better. They are now the benchmark of the NFC, but keep saying but there are key free agents. They also did lose their offensive coordinator. If you go back and look at the Eagles, they won the Super Bowl, lost offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, had a dip, took a year, went back up, took a year. So, especially with paying a quarterback by next year's end, Sam Darnold's going to need another contract because 3-year contract after second, you're more than likely going to have to pay him. JSN just pretty much proclaimed he wants, he deserves top tier money. And then after that, it's going to start getting scarce across the board, even though you have talent across the board. So, like I mentioned with Houston's defense, some talent are going to start going away, some talent are going to get older. Um, and yeah, that's what John Snyder has signed up for. I think they got their Super Bowl right now. The next few years might be a little up and down, but they might, have another run and they make it to the Super Bowl, make it again, possibly win it again. We'll see what how Rams, NFC Championship. You know, they are right there on the doorstep. Two offensive weapons that are elite, a quarterback that just won the MVP. Defense needs some pieces. They're going to have to start paying some of those guys in the trenches as well. So we're going to have to see how Les Need replenishes that trench, that defense. They're right at the doorstep. They can't take it over this top, unlike the 49ers. They have not been able to do so with injuries, injuries, and injuries. Pretty much that's been the common factor, at least in the 2020s. Um, Almost every year they get injured, some at key positions, some repeated offenders. And yeah, that's where we are with the Niners. Maybe it is the electrical substation, but maybe there are other factors that they have not even looked into yet. And now they even got distracted from that. So we're going to have to see what that holds ahead until, next year, what if they have a key injury again, then there has to be something somewhere. They got to find something. And then Arizona Cardinals. Hmm, I don't know. I'm not sure about the Michael LaFleur signing. Kind of just leaves me questioning it. I'm not sure what they're going to look like offensively, defensively. Is Kyler's not likely going to be their quarterback, so is it going to be Jacoby Brissett? Do they go after a Ty Simpson in the draft? See, all that has to be factored in. So it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, let's keep it moving. NFC South, Carolina Panthers. That's where we will start it off at. They have a very bright future. I don't even think they need an offensive weapon. I don't think they need an offensive line. I think it was a very young defense that did not have enough, in a sense, togetherness. J.C. Horn, standout corner, spoke about him last year, and he took his step. Maybe not, still not a household name like a Derek Stingley or a Patrick Surtain, but definitely in that bracket with Quinyon Mitchell as well. Um, Mike Jackson on the other side, respectable, like straight 1B corner. You do not want to take either of those guys on, especially in man situation. Trayvon Merring had been a great addition for their secondary. Trusted veteran. They might need a center fielder somehow, some way. If they were to get Caleb Downs, that would make that secondary scary. Probably need some more linebackers. They play a 3-4. You have Derek Brown manning it up front, but you need some guys across. Goutron was a very interesting and a very fun prospect for them, but like I mentioned, very young, so he needs to develop. You need to add some, other guys around him. So we'll see what additions they make, but they have a very bright future. Especially they can make a run with Bryce Young still being in his rookie contract. Try to get a free agent or two that could change, change your fortunes, kind of like with the Chicago Bears. So you never know, but you also never know what happens with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because Baker's gonna probably want a new contract soon, just like the Sam Darnold thing, because he did the Sam Darnold deal before him. Um, and then across the board, like, what does Mike Evans' future look like? What does Chris Godwin? Not recent, but he still, I do believe, has 2 year on his deal. But what does that look like? Ibuka is likely going to take over for Mike Evans. So where does he move on to? That defense, I think, needs a lot of work. Not in terms of coaching, but in terms of players. I think they are getting older as well. So how is that going to be replenished? That's where we are with them. They have a lot of question marks at the moment, though they have very talented players and Super Bowl champions. And then let's stay in that pretty much area. Let's go over to New Orleans really quickly. Same head coach. You found your quarterback in Tyler Shuck. You have to see what the future of Olave looks like. A lot of concussions already in a very young time frame. I hope he puts his health first. I love football and everything, but I care for him as a human more than I care for the game, respectfully. But yeah, I hope that gets figured out. Outside of that, they need to add more weapons. Do they go get back and get Rashid Shaheed? I don't know. I don't think so. Um, and yeah, they're just gonna have to build. It's gonna take a year or two. But at the same time, they can make it fun and interesting. They can go on a run like the Panthers did last year. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. NFC South, it's really anybody's game. Talk about anybody's game. Falcons changed their head coaches from Raheem Morris. We are moving on to the former Cleveland Browns head coach and Kevin Stefanski. A new approach, but what is the quarterback situation looking like? It's being reported now that Kirk Cousins is gonna most likely stay. Penix is still there. Um, you have some weapons around, but Kyle Pitts is not really giving you what he's gonna go out and get in the open market likely. So do you wanna, invest that cap into him? You wanna get a less, or a cheaper tight end, go invest in the draft. What is that, future of the Falcons look like under Matt Ryan? And it's gonna take at least a few years to see the vision come true. So you gotta have patience. I guess that's where we are with the Falcons, though. Like I mentioned, it's an open division, so they can't always make it interesting. Yeah, that's where we are with the NFC South. Let's move on to the NFC North before we finish off in the East. Packers, I think health is going to play a big factor for them. Wide receivers, I think they are trusted. Who stays, who goes, that's going to play a part. Romeo Dobbs, likely going to leave Green Bay, probably going to get a better deal outside, possibly even the Raiders. Hey, you never know. But that will be interesting to see. What does their wide receiver and pass catching core look like? Getting Musgrave, I do believe, back from or Tucker Craft from injury. That's going to play a big factor for them as well. Tight ends, a very important position in the modern game. The future of their O line, it looks like Elson Jenkins might be a cap casualty. We'll see what happens there. And then defensively, you're probably going to have to add some pieces in the um, secondary, as well as losing your defensive coordinator. He was a very important piece. He took a championship quality defense to another step, or a playoff quality defense to a championship possible quality defense. So we'll see what happens there. Bears, I think they're right there. Not really much to say. I think they have everything they need across the board. They're going to be competitive. Detroit, we're going to have to see how they bounce back, what additions and subtractions they make. The continuity in the offensive line will definitely, add on to it. Just needs more time. You had a couple pieces that, had to get changed. But, your future, it's Jared Goff. Jameer Gibbs' money is going to play a factor, but we'll see. Mohammed might be leaving defensively. Your secondary, hopefully they finally get healthy. The future of Joseph's going to play a factor as well. Um, and yeah, that's where we are with them. Who's left? Vikings, quarterback, pretty much it. Got to start off with the quarterback. I'm not going to say anything else. Quarterback. And then let's go to the NFC East to finish this off. Hmm. What do we start off with? Let's go with the Dallas Cowboys. George Pickens, just send the boy over to Vegas, bro. Do not do this, Jerry. Do not do this. We already gave you Cooper, traded him away. Give it, maybe we make a trade. Not the Max Crosby trade, but a second round, a future first round possibly, or whatever the case may be. You have not signed him, so not a future first round. But let's talk a deal, Jerry. Let's make a deal. Send George Pickens over to us. Fernando Mendoza, Pickens, Bowers, Gentry. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, I think they have some key free agents that they're gonna have to work out for cap wise as well. Some casualties that they're gonna have to work out with offensive line, defensive line, secondary. They're gonna have to pretty much change across the board, um, and some more athletic linebackers. So they have some work cut out for them. They're gonna have to scout well, draft well. Free agents they're gonna have to hit. Pretty much it. And with a new defense coordinator as well. But with a divisional uh, familiarity, it might play a factor. Talk about familiarity. Let's go over to where he came from in Philadelphia. With the Eagles, I think it starts off with Kevin Patua already out of the building. They already got a new offensive coordinator. How does that offensive look like? How does that offensive line look like? Um, and then after that, what does the Carter contract look like? What does the future of that defense look like? Howie Roseman being, the genius that he is in terms of draft and everything, we're gonna, have to see what the squad looks like after the draft. So we'll make all those reservations after. And yeah, that's where the Eagles are. They're gonna have to wait till the draft and patience for the offense. And then we move on. Giants, brand new head coach, John Harbaugh season up there. You got Dart. You have Scatterboo coming back from injury. You have four-head monster in defense. Likely one of them should be moved for some other piece. But yeah, you have a very bright future, young squad. Probably need 2 years to get the old everything out of the way and get that Harbaugh in them. But barring injuries or something, maybe they make it as a seventh seed. It can happen once you have a stability at head coach and a quarterback that you do believe in. You always have a chance to make a run. So at least a 6, 7 seed as a wild card, Giants could always happen. And knowing the Giants' history, they don't mind a 6, 7 seed. And then to finish us off, we finish off with the Commanders. And I think for them, really, they need to replenish that defense. They have two standout young cornerbacks, but they need safety help. They are a team that should look into Caleb Downs if they need to move up. That might be the case. Maybe a piece or two in the offensive line, and then just some weapons for Jaden Daniels. I think I saw Isaiah Likely, um, not a trade, but a free agent signing for the Commanders. That could be something that they could look into. Get a blocking tight end as a backup, and then some other guys who are yard after catches type of guys, and then you roll with them. Just getting Jaden Daniels back healthy with Bill Krosky Merritt in the backfield. Maybe you get a RB2 as well, and then you rely on an offensive line that gets healthier. You have a squad to work with. Most, I mean, some squad, it literally just needs patience and time to see what that looks like. And a lot of this time nowadays, that's what people tend to be lacking, a lot of patience. But I hope you guys did keep and had patience with me. It was kind of long, but it is kind of a season recap for the season that was 2025-2026 season. Congratulations once again to the Seattle Seahawks for winning the championship. So, like I mentioned, I'm not hating, I'm not discrediting. I was there and I actually picked y'all to win too. So, let's not forget that part. But, like I mentioned, go back and watch all the quick takes episode for this season. You go back and watch pre-takes and compare this and that from whatever. And yeah, I will be posting probably, hopefully, more jump off football frenzy. I've been saying it, but I promise I will do it. Now that the sun is out, hopefully I have a chance to come out and record more. So I don't get lazy. I hope you guys keep me accountable. That would go a long way. If you guys just kept me accountable, I would have to come out, make these videos more often. So go let me know. Go down in the comments and tell me, hey, be accountable and keep me accountable. Until next time, you already know what it is. It's all love. But like I mentioned, go back and watch it. Watch it.